not here to give you that feeling back. We're here to give you much, much more than just that feeling. I'll talk about it soon. Just have back what we had already is not enough, not for me. Definitely not enough. But first of all, I would like to thank our hosts, Ephraim and Neil, and also Howard that arranged that. Thank you all for coming. It is a very important evening, and we need you all on our team because we have a very, very important revolution today, as the Rabbi mentioned at the movie. So let me start at the beginning with a little discussion I had with Shmuel just 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Shmuel called me in Israel. He was working very hard with a team in New York on the main event that took place last night in New York, our annual dinner in New York, and the rest of the events in this trip. And Shmuel tells me, Moshe, we have a problem. I must talk to you. And I felt in Shmuel's voice that just a phone conversation will not be enough. We sat down, and I said, yes, Shmuel, what's the problem? He said, I'm talking to many good Jews in America, and it seems like some of them don't understand what you want from them. They tell me that everything is okay. Israel is doing very well. No rockets flying from Lebanon recently, in the last week and a half. No rockets flying from Gaza in the last 3 days. The economy is doing very well, all kidding aside. The Israeli economy is doing much better than the American one. Tourism is great, and so on. Really? Everything? Okay, so Netanyahu frees the settlements for 10 months. But you need to give something to bring back a good relationship with Obama. So, okay, after the 10 months, we'll build again in Yehuda v'Shamron. It seems like things are doing okay. Then what do you want from our life? What do you want from the good Yehudi? Let the guy Netanyahu lead Israel. It seems like he's doing the best he can. So I told Shmuel, my first reaction was, reminds me of a joke. A guy jumped from the roof of the Empire State Building, and at the 20th floor, someone opened the window and asked him, how's it going? He said, so far so good. I mean, we all feel, you don't need to be too smart to understand that things are not going exactly in the right direction in this way. But all kidding aside, we sat together, Shmuel, at night, and tried to find the right sentences to explain what the problem is. And I told Shmuel, don't you see, don't they see, those who tells you this in America, don't they see that our basic existence is under a big question mark today? Our ability to justify our existence is getting, we're losing it. Our leaders, our ministers, defense minister, and also Bugi Ya'alon and others in the government, and not only in the government, also the head of the opposition, Tzipi Livni. They're all afraid to leave Israel, definitely to Europe, because in many European countries, in many European airports, they are looking to arrest them, looking to put them in jail all over the world, like international criminals. We're talking about the leaders of Israel, looking to arrest them like pirates. Okay? The whole world is looking to arrest them. And if our leaders are, if the leaders of Israel are like pirates today, what does it mean about the entire boat? You're talking about a ship of pirates. It sails on a borrowed time. And the whole world is just waiting for this boat to sink. God forbid. Do you remember ever a situation like that in the last 62 years since 48? And on the other side, a guy named Ahmadinejad, who's a real criminal, who killed, I don't know how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of his own people, and aiming to bring the whole world into a third world war, he flies around freely. No one trying to stop him anywhere, even here in New York, here in America, it's both in New York. So we become the bad guys of the world, right? How did this happen? If you watching the news, you see that the whole world today is running after the Mossad agents, right? Why? I'm talking about Australia, Great Britain, okay? The whole world is running after the Mossad agents. Why? Because they say that they killed an archi-terrorist in Dubai, terrorist named Mamkhuh. So instead of saying thank you, Israel, for helping us get rid of this archi-terrorist, the whole world is running after who? After those who did this important work, right? And by the way, they did it exactly in the same way it was done many, many years before. Something changed. We become the bad guys of the world. The legitimacy of our existence is gone. The bon ton, as they say, in the universities, in Europe, also here in America, is the question, the so-called academic question, is how will the world look like without Israel? And usually the answer is it will look better. And I'm sure you understand, we're not talking only about Israel over here. We're talking about each one of you, we're talking about every Jew in the world. Because whether we like it or not, Israel represents the Jewish nation. The Jewish history is being written in Jerusalem, not in the world, not in LA. So what happens in Israel has a direct impact on every Jew in the world, including LA. We all understand that. How did this happen? How did it happen to us? After all, Israel is a very strong state. Great economy, great technology, great army. We managed to build in Haiti a much better hospital, field hospital than the Americans, right, in their backyard, right? Everybody understands Israel is a serious country, Western. How did we lose our ability to justify our own existence? I'll tell you how. For the last 62 years, the Israeli leaders worked very, very hard to explain the world that we are not a Jewish state. We're not. Shimon Peres, our president today, said that Israel is the Singapore of the Middle East. We are just Hebrew-speaking Singapore. The most influential persona in Israel in the last decade, Aharon Barak, the head of the Supreme Court, the minute he resigned, went out public and said, for me, Israel is not a Jewish state. He did not even try to cover it. For me, word to word, for me, Israel is not a Jewish state. Israel is a state of all its citizens. Period. Aharon Barak. And that's the direction of the entire major leadership of Israel. The academic leadership, the political leadership, that's the direction. Well, guess what? After 60 years, they succeeded. They convinced the world that we are not a Jewish state. We are just the Singapore of the Middle East. And the world say, if you're not Jewish, if you're not a Jewish state, just a state of all its citizens, then what gives you the justification to throw away another nation who lived there before you? If you're not leaning on your Jewish roots, there is no way you can explain and justify your occupation, not only of Hebron, but also of Sheikh Munis in Ramat Aviv, in Tel Aviv, and in Ashkelon, in Ashdod, all Arab cities before 48. We convinced the world we are the bad guys. Because we were afraid of our Jewish heritage. We decided that we're going to build not an Israeli state on top of our Jewish history, another level on the Jewish history, but instead of our Jewish history. So after 60 years, the world tells us if we already have one Singapore, we don't need another one. Very simple. So we were talking, Shmuel and I, and after about an hour of trying to explain, first of all, what kind of sentences we're going to use, how we're going to make the point that people will understand what the problem is, I told Shmuel, you know something? Just hit me. We did not establish Manhigut Yehudit because the existing prime minister at the time is good or bad, doing a good job, doing a bad job. That is not what Manhigut Yehudit is all about. We are not reacting to the way the existing leadership is functioning. This is not what we are for. Let's assume that you're getting on a bus and you want to get to, well, you're in LA, you want to get to New York, okay? And the bus is going, okay, you think the bus is going to New York, or going, I don't know, south, and suddenly you see that the bus driver is taking you north. He's taking you to his direction, to his goal, to where he thinks you should go. Do you then care if he's a good driver or a bad driver? If he's not taking you to where you want to go, but to where he wants to go, do you care if it's a good bus or a bad bus? Maybe you rather it'll be a bad bus and break in the middle so you can get off and go to the other direction, right? So why do we really care if the economy today in Israel is good, if the military is doing well, if rockets are flying or not flying? This is not what Manhigut is all about. If the bus driver insists on going to his direction instead of to your direction, you have only one thing to do: to find another bus and another driver. And this is what Manhigut is all about. We're not fighting against Netanyahu. We're not trying to influence Netanyahu. Because we came to a conclusion, as Shmuel explained, after we sat in jail, after we demonstrate against Rabin, and we demonstrate later on against Netanyahu, and against Shimon Peres, and against Sharon, and against all the leaders, from right and left, we understood that we have a different dream, a different goal. And if we really want to fix the situation, There is no other way than creating a different leadership that's carrying a different dream. And what we have today is a potential leadership that dream your dream. Not just a state of all its citizens, or as Netanyahu called it in his book, place among the nation. We are not looking for a place among the nation. Believe me, Los Angeles is a very good place among the nation. It is not our dream. And I can tell you about many other nice democracies, nice place among the nation. It is not what we are about. We are about a Jewish state that is a light to the nation. And because we ran away from the original dream, our parents' dream for the last 3,000 years, to a new dream that failed. We ran away from the dream that our grandparents, all the Jewish people, to this new dream of actually a kind of assimilation as a nation. Because instead of individual, let's assimilate as a nation, as a country. Let's be like all the others, but as a nation, as a Medina. Because we ran away from our original dream to something else, this dream of place among the nation brought us to the current situation that I described before of, God forbid, soon we're going to have no place among the nation. Because we cannot justify with that dream our existence in Eretz Israel. That dream don't give us justification, don't give us the energy, the motivation, the goal, the spirit to deal with the challenges that we have today in Eretz Israel. Our dream is the real Jewish state. And the good news that it is not a dream of a small minority in Eretz Israel. You saw the movie now. And these people that you saw in the movie represent more than 80% of the Israelis. How do I know? Because when you ask the Israelis a simple question, what are you first? An Israeli or a Jew? Interesting question, right? When you're asking the Israelis, the entire Israelis, the Jewish Israelis, what are you first, an Israeli or a Jew? What do you think the answer is? Jew. More than 80% say we're Jewish first. Less than 19% saying they are secularists. Interesting, no? We all always thought that we were talking about a big, small minority, religious. Well, more than 50% call themselves traditionals. Another 30% call themselves Datiim and Charedim. And between 18 and 19 call themselves Chiloni. So you see that you have a substantial 80% that their Jewish identity is the basic of their identity. That's the starting point of their life. And when they understand that if they won't have a Jewish state, they will not have a state at all. They understand that. But until today, they did not have the alternative leadership that represents their dream. Well, now they have. Now you have. Because it's not only ideology that we represent to you, it's a political plan. And I'm running. I'm running to become the head of the Likud. and hopefully the leader of the state of Israel and the people of Israel, carrying your dreams. And I think soon Shmuel is going to come here again and explain to you in detail exactly the political plan of how we're going to do it. And believe me, we are in a much more advanced position now than Barack Obama was when he started. We'll get into detail and explain it to you. But before I finish, I want to just tell you the last sentence. I think each one of you, each one of us, should ask himself, not how we influence Netanyahu, but who's going to come after Netanyahu. Sooner or later, he will finish like every person finishes a job. Who's going to be the next Prime Minister of Israel? Is it going to be again a Prime Minister that carries the old dream? Is it going to be a guy like Gideon Saar, or Bughi Ya'alon, or Silvan Shalom? Nice guys. But all carrying the old dream, and then try to influence them again, try to influence these drivers to go south instead of north? Or is it going to be, for once and for all, a leader that carry your dream? I'm running, and the question is, are you coming with? Thank you very much.
I wanted to explain how we're going to bring this to reality. And I turn your attention to this little booklet that we put on every chair. You just open it up, run through it very quickly.
Very good question. The problem, I guess I'm answering like a good Jew. The problem is not Iran. The problem is Ahmadinejad. And he should be killed. We got used to, in the modern world, to let millions of soldiers, we can accept the death of millions, but it's hard for us to accept the death of those who send them to die. And it's a big mistake. Ahmadinejad should have been hunted down a long time ago already. And when leaders that thinking of talking like Ahmadinejad will understand what will be the result, it's not going to be again millions of Iranians that will die, but it's going to be him. Then you'll have peace. Ahmadinejad, by the way, I don't know how many of you heard. During the war between Iran and Iraq, before the first Gulf War, Ahmadinejad was already in a high rank in the Iranian regime of Ayatollah Khomeini. And they had a problem. They had Iraqi minefields. I'm an officer in a combat unit in the Israeli army dealing with mines. Well, they did not know how to deal with the minefields of Iraq. So they came with a great solution. They said, we're going to send donkeys to walk over the minefield, the Iraqi minefields, and to blow the mines. It did not work because the first donkey who stepped on the mine and blew up, the other ones ran away. So it did not open the minefields of the Iraqis. So you know what Ahmadinejad, our nice Ahmadinejad, what kind of solution he came with? he brought Iranian little kids, okay, 9, 10 years old, and gave them a little plastic key made in China, probably, okay, to heaven, to the 70 virgins. And guess what? When the first Iranian boy stepped on the mine, the rest of them did not run away, and they continue walking. This is the guy we're dealing with. And the whole world is accepting him in Europe and everywhere else. In America. He don't have the right to breathe the air of this world when he's saying he's looking to destroy Israel. No way.
Moshe, the problem is not will be the leader. You, tomorrow morning, the chairman of the Likud.
Yes.
איך אתה מלכד את העם המפולג הזה? העם מפולג. Not Iran, not Iraq. Not the problem. The problem is the Jewish nation. הרבה מאוד פלגים, גבי אביב. אביב. הרבה מאוד פלגים לא מכירים במדינת ישראל כמדינה ציונית. מהחרדים, מהטולקרטה הקיצוניים, ועד השמאל הרדיקלי. זה לא מנהיג כריזמטי, צריך לאחד את העם. קראנו עכשיו במגילה שהמן אמר, ישנו עם אחד מפוזר ומפורד. ואסתר אומרת למרדכי, תאחד את העם, רק ככה ניצחו את 127 מדינות. איך אתה כמנהיג מאחד, מלכד את העם?
Aviv said that the problem is that the Israelis are not united. And I salute you, Aviv. You touched the point. The problem, what? Oh, so I salute to the right guy. You touched the true point. We in Manhigut Yehudit saying that for more than 10 years. The problem is not the Arabs, and it's not the pressure from the United States, and it's not the outside pressure. With all that we can deal when we'll deal with the real problem, which is within. The problem is between the Jews and themselves. Now to answer your question, how to unite the Jews in Eretz Israel, I think that if you watched carefully that movie, you saw the answer. Because the secret of unity is leadership. But not just a political leadership that speaks from a corner of one party against the other party. A leadership that aims to the inside, to the spirit of the nation. A leadership that aims to what gets us, to what combines us together. And there's only one thing that does that. It is our Judaism. Our Jewish identity. Not our Jewish, not the religion, not the right, not the left, our Jewish identity. This, a leadership that aimed to that point, unite everybody. What you saw in that movie is what it really represents the entire Israeli society. I see it again and again. People stop me in the streets. I cannot describe to you how many people tells me you bring us hope. That kind of leadership will unite the entire Jewish nation, the Israelis and the entire Jewish people. And I agree with you, this is exactly what we need.
In Israel, where a third of the members of the Knesset are ministers without portfolios, ministers, vice ministers, and so on and so forth. And you have, I don't know how many, 20, 30 different parties, everyone pulling you from each side, and you're getting a fraction here and a fraction there, and you have to give this and to give. You need to give just a negotiator and to satisfy her. How do you deal with this election mess?
But if you read I published 2 books so far and many articles. I think those of you who really wants to know how we deal with and what our platform in many aspects in the economy, the political world in Israel and so on, can find everything there. But not to leave you the question not answered, we should have a different kind of system of election in Israel, something more similar to what you have here in America, regional election. There shouldn't be more than 7 ministers in the government. By the way, Ben-Gurion did not have more than 7 ministers in his government. We already had a law that we should not have more than 18 ministers, but Netanyahu changed that law. so that's the way it works in Israel. The system must be changed and can be changed. What you talking about now, that the problem that the leaders of Israel are just, negotiating and so on, it's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of leadership. It's a problem of leadership more than the problem of the system. Yes. What?
How are you going to deal with the rest of the world talking about the United Nations, United States, the pressure of the rest of the world? That's simple.
Thank you for that question. I must tell you that I already had my feelings and my thoughts about the rest of the world. Rav Kahana, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, once said that the best hasbara, explanation, how do you say hasbara? What? PR. The best PR Israel ever had, you know what it was?
Winning a war.
What?
Winning the war.
The 6 Days War.
Yeah.
So many Jews here in America told me that after the 6 Days War, they felt they can take out the Magen David, and walk with it outside, showing everybody, and anti-Semitism goes down. However, about 2 years ago, a reporter in Israel named Meir Uziel, if you know the name, interviewed a very known person, professor in Israel. His name is Ze'ev Tzachor. He's the head of the university or college, I don't know how they call it, in Sderot. Okay? Very leftist. And this interview caught my eye because Ze'ev Tzachor explained in that interview, or told Meir Uziel at that interview about a meeting he had with his colleagues in Cambridge, London. Okay? Now, the English Academy's professors explained our leftist professor, Israeli professor, why they're so anti-Israel. It's interesting to see their point of view, and I'm telling you that story because you asked how we're going to be received from the world. So listen how they explain. What do they have against Israel today? From their academical, deep point of view. They said something amazing. They said the following. We, the British, created a state for you, the Jews, in Palestine. We build you your country. We build you your state.
Yeah, right.
I heard some giggles. It is not so, not true. They have one. During the Turkish time, there was no foundation for a modern state. When the British left in '48, there was what to start from. Okay. the Balfour Declaration and so on, they feel that they gave they put the foundation for their Jewish state. And they told Professor Tzachor the follow, we did that because we thought you, the Jews, gonna bring the light to the nation. After all, you are the people of the book, the people of the prophets. From their mouth. And then they told him, and look what you did. Singapore of the Middle East. So if you're asking me, how are we going to deal with the world? My answer is, there'll be no need to deal with it. Not that I think that the world is so perfect, and there'll be no more deceptivism and so on. We understand that. But I'm not looking for the world to love us. I'm looking for the world to respect us. Deep inside, most of the people who live on earth believes in God, believes in the Bible. Definitely those who grew up on the base of Christianity and Islam, basically on the Bible and the belief in one God. And understand that the Jews are, as it says in the Bible, Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem. So, why are you trying to be like us? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to do something for us. My son asked me, that's an amazing story. My little son, not a long time ago, but a month, 2 months ago, asked me, Abba, lama הערבים שונאים אותנו? Why the Arabs hate us? His name is Abraham, my little one. And I told him, it's not only the Arabs. Almost the whole world hates us. So he said, okay, Abba, למה הם שונאים אותנו? I told you, I'll tell you. Let's assume that
Okay.
when you're listening to what the Arabs,
I'm gonna tighten it up. Okay.
what gives the Arabs, the Muslims, the feeling that they're gonna win, the Israelis, the Americans, and the Western world, is their faith in God and the understanding that the rest of the world are infidels. When you're coming from a Jewish point of view, when Israel will have a leadership that represents Jewish values and Jewish beliefs, they will respect you. When you're listening to what Ahmadinejad is saying, he is basically saying, I have no problem with the Jews, I have a problem with the Zionists. It is very interesting. They really lost any kind of respect to us when we lost the respect to our heritage. It says in our Torah, the pasuk says, וראו כל עמי הארץ כי שם השם נקרא עליך ויראו ממך. When the people of the earth will see that the name of God is above you, they'll be afraid of you. Once we lost that, the name of God, they're not afraid of us anymore.
You think for the Muslims it's a holy war against the Jews?
Do you have any doubt about that? Of course it's a holy war for them. What did, not only against the Jews. I think every Israeli and also every American knows exactly what were the last words of the pilot who blew himself into the Twin Tower.
But don't you think that they were on a political mission, that they saw themselves as political, as liberators of Muslim lands?
Hey, it's a religious war. Last words were Allahu Akbar. They're not fighting for a political war. They're not looking for a civil rights. They're not looking for a country. The only reason why there's no Palestinian state, even though they got more help than any other group of people ever in the history of the world got to establish their own state. The only reason why there isn't a so-called Palestinian state is that this is not what they want. This is not their goal. The goal is simply that the Jews will not be in Israel. That's the goal. And they lost respect to us. They lost the fear from us when they saw that we don't respect ourselves.